Thank you so much today for joining us. My name is Beau Beasley. I'm the director of the Virginia Fly Fishing Festival. We're shooting some footage live with Steve Vorkapich. Steve, thank you so much for being here today.
Thanks for having me,
Steve is coming from the great state of Ohio, and he is one of the guest instructors here at the festival. And we're going to just take a couple of minutes to talk about fishing indicators, the right way, the wrong way, the problems that you have with this is Floatmaster Products is the name of your indicators here. Could you give me just a little insight? This is your latest product, which I think is great because it allows multiple size indicators. Could you just very briefly say, here's how indicators ought to be used. These are some of the common problems that you see. Because I, as a novice, may not understand, well, how come you got to have so many different sizes? How come some are pearl drop and some are round? This is probably not something you hear very often, right? Everybody knows everything about indicators.
Actually, I hear that quite often.
Tell me, Steve, first of all, what I want to do, let's use a bigger one because it's easier for the camera. Could you put one of these on? We'll take it out. Why is this designed? I see some of it's orange, some of it's... Could you just tell me about the coloration and the design a little bit?
Sure. First of all, I'd like to share with you that this product is made out of high-density polystyrene, which is pretty much indestructible. It's a very high-floating material, very durable, and very reusable. The main ingredient that holds this product on the line is a piece of natural latex rubber tubing. And I do want to share with you that 9 of the 10 different sized indicators I make, this piece of rubber tubing is interchangeable throughout. So
it's universal. You can have one type of tubing for just about every indicator that you have.
Absolutely.
Okay.
So it makes things simpler for the fisherman because if he did happen to wear out a piece of tubing or lose it, he always has a backup.
Okay.
So the best way to put these on your leader is when you pull the indicator out of the package, the rubber tubing is sticking out of the top, as you see. The best way I found to use them and to also free up your 2 hands to complete the operation is to grab the rubber tube with your teeth. While it's here, you should moisten this tubing because lubrication cuts down on the friction on the line. Anytime you apply friction on your leader, it's going to create a weak point, and that's not what we're going to need to land the fish.
Okay.
So if you pick a centrally located spot on your leader and fold it in half and make a little loop, you push the loop through the hole in the indicator until it comes out the top somewhere near a 1/2 inch to 3/8 of an inch. This does not have to be exact.
Okay.
Notice how I'm holding my indicator, and notice how I'm holding my doubled over leader in my clenched fingers.
Now, is it gonna put a kink in the line when you do this?
No, it won't do that on this particular indicator because the rubber tubing actually cushions the line.
Okay.
And it gives flex.
Kind of like the shock absorber.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. And that shock absorber really helps out when you're fighting a fish. So to complete this operation of applying the leader or the indicator to your leader, you just remove this moistened tubing now from your teeth here and put it about halfway through that loop. With my clenched fingers in my right hand, I pull down on my leader. The loop holds the rubber tube in place long enough for you to complete the operation just by pulling in opposite directions.
Okay.
When you have the rubber tube sticking out of the top of the indicator about 1/8 of an inch, you've finished your operation. The nice thing about applying these indicators to your line, as you probably noticed, we didn't have to cut any flies off of our line to put these on.
So this rubber tubing, it just seems like some ideas are so basic. You're like, why didn't I think of that? This thing is unmovable. I have fished this type of system for hours, and it doesn't move until I move it. Explain to me, I mean, you can control the depth of where your fly is, correct? Because if you're out steelhead fishing, or if you're nymphing for trout, or you're bouncing big flies off the bottom, or along the bottom for fish feeding lower in the water column, how do you move your indicator up and down to adjust? This is a very fast system, correct? I mean, you designed this, you explained to me you designed this because you saw people spending more time getting their rigs together than they did actually fishing. Is that correct?
That is very correct, Beau. I'm glad you brought those issues up. In my past years of fishing indicators without this method, I've used a lot of the other brands, and I found it cumbersome at times to try and make some adjustment. A lot of times the occurrence was I ended up casting and the indicator flying off, or noticed slippage, and now I'm actually guessing where my presentation is. I got tired of that. That's what inspired me to make this product. And when I first came out with this, it was for my own personal use. But as time went on, I was provoked by friends to get this on the market because it is such a simple method. If you prefer to adjust your depth of setting with this indicator, you can hold that in.
Okay, let me hold this side.
And then if you wanted to adjust your depth, you would just simply slide this indicator up or down the line.
But it won't do that when I cast, right?
I'll tell you what, I'll hold this end, Beau. Why don't you go ahead and try and adjust your depth by sliding that indicator. You can see it takes a little bit of effort to hold.
But then if we don't have any on there, you just slide it down. But when you go back to putting tension on it, it locks it.
Exactly. It tightens on the rubber tube, which is inside the hole of this indicator, and minimizes your chances of slippage.
So you can easily, when you're not under pressure, easily move this up and down where you want it to go. So if you need to come up a half a foot, or you feel like maybe you're drifting over the fish and you want to move it further in, it's just a matter of moving it up and down. You're not cutting any leader, you're not doing anything.
That is correct. I will recommend to you to moisten the leader prior to making your adjustments, because the moisture from the river adds to the lubrication of the rubber tube, which extends the rubber tube's life. Plus, you're also minimizing, once again, the friction on your line, so you're not weakening your line as you're making your adjustments. Okay. Now, a couple other benefits I'd like to show you with this rubber tube is, let's simulate a fisherman fighting a fish. You go ahead and you felt the bite here and set the hook.
Right.
I'm the fish now that felt the sting of the hook, and I'm trying to get off of your hook. What happens inside here is as the fish is fighting and shaking his head, the rubber tubing inside the indicator is doubling as a shock absorber. See the rubber tubing moving in and out here?
Right, so it's almost like a shock absorber inside.
That's exactly what it is.
Outstanding.
What this does is minimize your chances of breaking your weakest point between your fly rod and your fly.
I'm really curious, in this multi-pack here, we have various sizes and shapes. Can you just kind of summarize for me, why do you need so many different colors, and how come some of them are teardrop and some of them are round?
Okay. Well, in this particular kit, I have 3 different sizes in the 2 different shapes, which totals 20 indicators, 10 in round and 10 in teardrop. And as you can see, the different sizes of indicators, it's pretty easy to tell which one is going to support more weight underneath your indicator, underneath the surface of the water. Under certain conditions, you may want to use a small indicator because you might only need to support a minute amount of weight to get your fly to the
or because of the current. If there's a lot of current, a lot of cross current, you're fishing a really heavy. That indicator could be overwhelmed if it's not supported the right way. Right? You don't have the right indicator. The way you explain it to me is there's a lot more surface area at the top with those teardrops. Also, I noticed that they're darker on the bottom, so when it's for overcast days. That's why there's so many different color selections.
Yeah, the river camel pattern, which is shaded gray, is an ideal indicator choice when we have the overcast skies, because I like to blend in with the atmospheric conditions to minimize the trout or the fish's vision so he doesn't see my indicator. I don't want to let him know that I'm there. I'm trying to sneak up on him.
But you can see the indicator easily because of the color on top, right?
For the brightness on top, and that's the idea behind the two-tone patterns.
Well, Stephen, I just want to say thank you so much for coming by today. And people can get more information about Floatmaster products on the web, or visit your website, or come see you tonight. Thank you so much for coming today, Steve.
Thank you.
We were glad to have you here at the Virginia Fly Fishing Festival. Thank you so much.